Hey, welcome back everyone. So this week is going to be a little more basic than normal, I think. We're going to talk about this lens, the 100-400 Nikkor, or I should say Nikkor 100-400 F4.5-5.6 Z-mount super telephoto zoom lens. That's a mouthful. There are even more acronyms that go with that, but I just don't remember all of them, so I'm not even going to try. So we're going to talk about this lens. We're going to talk about what I do like about it, and we're going to talk about what I don't like about it. Spoiler alert, there isn't much I don't like about it. This lens is fantastic. That said, first we're going to watch a location video where I am going to make a real attempt at shooting all of the work with this lens, and it's all going to be landscape work. And then part 2 of this video is going to be me shooting wildlife with this lens. Now, all of this said, in 2 days, which is the 9th or the 10th, the Nikon Z8 is coming. And I really want to dedicate a lot of time to evaluating that camera, using it with this lens, using it with all the lenses, in fact. And I want to make sure I put together a really good evaluation for you guys and for myself as well, because that may be a camera I'm considering stepping into, because my camera's getting old and I may want a new primary body. Anyway, so I may not come in next week for a full video. I may just drop in and say hi and give you a quick rundown on what's going on. And then the following week will be the landscape 100-400 video. And hopefully that will include a bunch of Z8 footage as well, so that you can see the photos with this lens and you can see video samples with this lens. Okay, so best laid plans, right? Anyway, before we do that, let's go ahead and watch the location video this week. And yeah, when we come back, we'll talk more about this lens. All right, let's do it. Man, is it slippery out here. Whew. This bridge has seen better days. Well, welcome back everyone. I'm out wandering around on the Rockland Bog Trail, trying to see if there's any interesting landscape photography out here. I don't think I'll be doing any wildlife work. I think it's all going to be landscape, but well, maybe. We'll see. I brought everything. My bag probably weighs 40 pounds. It's got a camera, well, really 2 cameras, a drone, 2 tripods, although a camera and a tripod are in front of me right now. 3 lenses, really 5, and filter kit, a thermos of coffee, a liter of water. Yeah, it's got to be at least 40 pounds, but glad I have a strong back. Anyway, I'm going to keep walking. I thought there was going to be like an open bog here, so there should be, but it might be 2 or 3 miles in, so we'll be walking for a while. The trail is very, very slippery, so doing my best. And that sketchy bridge, whew, how about that? That was something. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going, see what we can find, and I'll touch back later. I've walked about 2.5 miles or so, and haven't really found anything as far as, bogs go, because it is called the Rockland Bog Trail. But
I didn't do the research, I will admit it. I just made an assumption. Which, you know, is okay. It's a nice walk. I'm enjoying it. But I'm probably going to turn around here pretty soon because a 6-mile loop with this much ice and snow on the ground is, I mean, it's not a lot of snow, but it's a lot of ice, is probably long enough. And like I was saying when the mic wasn't on, there's no such thing as bad subjects, just, you know, a lack of desire to shoot them. So I'm not really feeling what I'm seeing around me right now. If I do, though, if I feel something, I'll go ahead and make a photograph of it, and that might actually make our day for us. Would be nice. But I'm not that worried about it. I'm getting a good walk in and exploring a new trail, and yeah, I'll let you know what happens. So I found this pretty great composition. At least I really like it. These trees here, and with this woodland pond here in the front. So it's going to be framed something like that. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I didn't film myself taking the shot because I just wanted to mag it out real quick, and I didn't use the 100-400. So. So I ended up using the 24-120. So that, what can I say? It's a shot, first shot of the day, actually. I'm just wandering around in these woods now. There's somebody within a few hundred yards of me at the moment, burning a fire, which is definitely a little weird, but I'm not exploring to go figure out who that is. Yeah, you know, there's a housing shortage in Maine, and maybe somebody just wants to live in the woods, or maybe he's just camping. That's probably what it is, probably just a dude camping, or gal. I doubt it's a gal. It's a dude. Yeah, so I've stopped here at the Oyster River, and I think I'm gonna put the drone up and take a look at these falls. And then maybe there actually will be a photograph here. I'm hoping. It's been a long morning with a lot of walking, so. I think that's going to be a wrap for this week. You know, I put in these location videos because it's fun to see how someone goes out and shoots. And I've been thwarted over and over this week, so I'm just gonna write it off as a wash this week, and just put what I have into the video, so you'll at least get to see some nice drone footage. And you will have seen all of this by now anyway, but I'm just rambling now. You will have seen nice drone footage and one photograph that I didn't make with the 100-400, and yeah, so it was a nice morning. I found a new trail to hike. I went and explored and found other access to the actual bog with an overlook. So I found that after the last time you saw me, and in the end, it's a successful day, successful week. All right, let me let you get back to Tom at the studio now, and I want to thank you for coming out. You guys are fantastic. I'm loving the comments, so make some more. And yeah, discussions are good. I hope you have a great week. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Only if you thought this was useful, though. You know, this week may not be very useful, but anyway, I will see you again next week. Have a great weekend. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
All right, this has been a little bit of a frustrating time. This video, in fact, that you just watched, I kept trying to get out, and either I fell in a swamp, the conditions weren't right, you know, you name it. It's just been tough. So that said, let's talk about the lens now. How am I going to break it down? I think the topics I'm going to break it down with are, how are the aesthetics of this lens? How does it work in the hand? I think it's good. I think the layout is nice. We have a lot of extra buttons that we can program. Nice knurled rubber rings, and then a nice extra ring that's just metal with the texture for adjusting aperture or whatever you want to set it up for. So I think the aesthetics of the lens are good. I mean, it's a pretty lens. It fits into Nikon's new lexicon for their modern S lenses. It's one of the lenses that has the display on it. Am I pointing at the display? I think I am. That you can change it from telling you your distance, focal distance, your zoom level, so it'll tell you what millimeter you're at, and your aperture. And then, of course, the aperture is tied to this metal ring out of the box. So you can, it's almost like you turn the ring. Here, let's take a look here. You turn the ring, and it actually turns the aperture like it's an aperture ring. So that's kind of a neat trick. And I call it a trick, but I don't think it's really a trick. It's a very useful thing. And you can change that just by hitting the display button. So anyway, Nikon's new aesthetic nomenclature, I think is really nice. Let's see. What's the next thing? Build quality. I think we should talk about build quality. All right, so this lens is built like a tank. It's both some kind of plastic, composite plastic, I believe, and metal, and has metal and plastic elements, rubber as well. The quality of the lens hood is great. It's got one of these locking lens hoods with the button that you have to hit to take it off. On the front, I have a UV filter, but if you're not using the UV filter, it does have the rubber front, so that, like all of Nikon's high-end pro lenses, telephoto lenses, so that you can set it down and it won't scratch the front of it. It will scratch the lens, however, so your mileage may vary. I wouldn't set it down like that unless you're 100% sure of where. Like, I could set it down on my table here, but I don't think I would set it down like on a floor, even if I was in the, let's say, U.S. Capitol shooting photographs of politicians, and I set my camera down that way, like you always see the guys doing. They normally set it on their lens hood. But anyway, the rubber on the front is nice because it keeps you from banging up the front. It protects the threads for the filter thread. It protects the filter threads as well. So, all right. So the build quality is fantastic. I have no issues with it. And what's also interesting is when you screw a filter on, this filter actually recesses back, which I've only seen on a couple other lenses. It makes it hard to get the filter off, but at the same time, it keeps it out of the way. And whatever. Like I said, not a big deal. Probably not even something I should mention, but something I did notice. All right, operation. I feel like everything on this lens works well. It is of the style, it has the zoom ring on the front, the focus ring next, and then the aperture ring is in the back, or aperture whatever you want to program it to ring. And its tripod foot is really well designed. Okay, so I have an aftermarket foot on here. I don't like the base Nikon feet because they don't have the Arca Swiss plate. This one has a built-in Arca Swiss plate, and this is the one made by Leo Photo. As you know, I'm or have noticed, I'm a fan of their stuff. I have one of their big tripods. I like their feet. I haven't tried one of their brackets yet, but I'm sure I'll get one at some point. But when you take that foot off, you can see it's got the new style where, just like on the 70-200 Z mount, where you don't have this collar that you have to remove that's a big mess. It actually is just a nice tight little package here. And then if you want the foot for hooking onto a tripod, it slides right on, and then you lock it with a knob. And this is just like the stock one as far as that goes. This one just has some nice features. Like I said, the Arca Swiss attachment. So I like the foot. The button ring layout is great, like I said. Let's see. What other operation things am I interested in telling you about? Oh, I absolutely love these aperture range. 4.5 to 5.6. That's less than 2/3 of a stop. I mean, it's right about 2/3 of a stop. That's really close. That's almost as good as fixed aperture. You could just lock this thing at 5.6 if you're filmmaking with it and zoom in and out, and it'll stay at 5.6 throughout the zoom range, which is fantastic because we're going to talk some later, and it may be next week, about how this compares to the 200-500 Nikon, which I did have Nikkor lens, the F mount. Fantastic lens. Huge, heavy lens. Not in the same league as this lens, but still a fantastic lens. But I liked it because it was a fixed aperture 5.6. This is 4.5 to 5.6, so it's basically a fixed aperture 5.6. And when you're at the longest or shortest zoom range, you can get an extra 2/3 of a stop out of it, which is kind of nice if you're shooting portraits, because it's 100, it's a really good portrait length. So 4.5 at 100 is a pretty nice portrait setup, in fact, and I'd shoot this thing wide open all day long. All right. Also, capability of using teleconverters. The 1.4 and the 2.0 teleconverter from Nikon they're both fantastic teleconverters, and they were designed for the 70-200 and for this. And I believe they will also work on the 180-600, which we'll also talk about this and how it compares to. I haven't had a chance to play with one yet, but I'm probably going to order one to see if I can play with it. And I can tell you right now, a different league as well. This lens is a different league from most of the lenses we've mentioned so far. Nikon was trying to fill a hole that they had from the F mounts that had a 100-400, but their 100-400 F mount was not nearly as good as this. So once again, we'll talk about the comparison to all the different lenses because there's a number of them. All right, so teleconverters. In fact, I'm going to probably order the 1.4 teleconverter for myself because that gets you to almost 600, which then pre-teleconverter on the 180-600 basically makes this into close to what the 180-600 is, and you'll have better image quality out of this. It's also a lot more expensive, but we'll talk about that later. All right. Quick rundown here. Number 4 is, I think, number 4th, number 3, whatever. Whatever heading I'm on. I confused myself. I was telling my friend today, we were out to breakfast, and I was reminding him of that 50 First Dates movie where 10-second Tom, that's me. Like every 10 seconds, I just forget everything. That's kind of what I do. Anyway, now the most important part of this is image quality. I've never used a telephoto zoom with this level of image quality. Now, granted, lenses like that, what was it, the 180-400 that Nikon made in the F mount? No, I think this is as sharp as that, close at least. And that had a built-in teleconverter, but that was also a $12,000 lens. This is 2,700, 2,500, somewhere in there. I'll put it up on the screen. But the image quality is like ridiculous. Sharpness is good, contrast is good, color rendition is absolutely perfect, and full Nikon. The bokeh sometimes is a little bit busy, depending on what you're shooting. That's the thing. Like, I noticed while I was shooting outside today, trying to photograph the birds, like ripples in the water got a little busy, but you know, that's sort of a given, and getting away from busy bokeh when you're looking at something like the texture of the ripples in the water, little ripples, excuse me, it's damn near impossible until you get up to lenses, you know, 5, 6, 12, $24,000 lenses. So, I mean, I wouldn't call this a budget lens, but really in the super telephoto realm, it's a pretty reasonably priced lens. I mean, budget lens would be the 180-600, but that's also supposed to be a pretty good lens. Like I said, I'm going to get one here. So I'd say this is really reasonable for what you get. I mean, it's hard to beat the image quality here. Paired with a 1.4 teleconverter, you basically get sharpness, color, and contrast beyond even what the even beyond what the 180-600 brings to the table. That said, with teleconverters, that lens can get quite a bit extra reach with a stop more light. Though, as I said, the image quality won't be what it is with this lens. And it also won't be nearly as compact and portable as this lens. This is a pretty compact lens for what you're getting. All right, so I think we're going to cut it there, and I'm going to leave the rest of this review for next week because it's going to be tied to the wildlife side and, as I said, video, and maybe even some more landscape. We'll talk more about this lens and how it can perform for us. But for me, over the last year, you've seen the photos as we've been talking. This lens replaced a 100-400 Sigma that I carried just because it was really small and reasonably sharp. Pretty decent lens. I like that lens. But slow autofocus, you weren't shooting wildlife with it. Yeah, it didn't have nearly what this has. But it was quite a bit smaller, so it may be, you know, something to take into account. I had that on a F-mount adapter, obviously, because it was the F-mount version. And I really did like that lens, but I like this lens so much more, and it's really not that much heavier. It's only just a little bigger. So, I'm rambling. So we'll finish next week, and we'll talk more about the positives of this lens. And next week I will cover things I may not like about this lens. And I think that's going to be pretty important because by next week, gosh darn it, I'm going to come up with something I don't like about this lens. Because, you know, this is one lens to rule them all. I mean, this is really the lens that... That's why I titled the video this way. One lens to rule them all. I mean, it is, as far as nature photography lenses, it is the best all-around lens Nikon makes. And I would say, as even outside to other brands, because of what you're getting on this lens, you aren't seeing that in the Sigma or the Tamron. And so the image quality on this lens is so much better. The performance is so much better. This is a lens in and of itself. You can't touch this lens. So it really is the one lens to rule them all. The Lord of the lenses, if you will. Sorry. Hey, you know, I had to make a thumbnail. You like the thumbnail? You know, the Schmiegel thing is difficult. So anyhow, I'm going to stop running my mouth now, and I'm going to thank you for coming out and putting up with my rambling, and come back next week and we'll talk more about this lens. I will, as I said, cover the wildlife side of it. I really appreciate you guys. Please, if you found this at all useful, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. Please put a comment down below about what you're seeing here. So tell me what you think. If you can't stand it, let me know. If you like it, let me know. I mean, I'm as happy as the next guy to talk about something down there in the comment section. Anyway, thanks for coming out, guys. I do appreciate you. I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Thanks again. Bye-bye.